What makes a man fall out of love with a woman? Being petty over stuff that does not matter. Example, I had a girlfriend who would always be about my toothbrush facing the wrong way. The brush head had to have the bristles facing the mirror. This was one of many things that did not matter that would set off 90-minute crying and yelling marathons. We only lived together for 3 weeks when the spark of love turned into a puddle of depression. I ran so far away. Had to get away. No, she would not get tested for OCD. Undiagnosed OCD will definitely ruin a relationship. I just went through that myself. She wanted everything to be the way she envisioned it, which is fine, until she gets so uncompromising that tiny things nobody in their right mind would care about become the start of a major argument. For my ex, her big thing was nitpicking how I talked to her and essentially ignoring anything I didn't say exactly right. I love you so much meant nothing if she decided, without telling me, that she wanted me to say I love you a lot that day. We can have a date weekend meant nothing, because she wanted me to say we will have a date weekend. Those are only the verbal examples, but the perfection or you're gonna hear about it model is a hallmark of OCD. Every time you're with them, you feel your energy drained. Psychic vampires man. They're real /view 200D. Robinson. Hey. Guess what? You don't have to say guess what at the start of every sentence. Not feeling valued. This is the answer. All other responses are usually offshoots or tangents that are rooted in this. Exactly. Whether it's she puts me down, or she shots on the things I enjoy, or I don't feel respected, or unequal in the relationship. It all boils down to the fact that a woman not valuing a man will make him leave. I have heard these things from my husband. I don't mean to do these things, but evidently, I do. And I need to do better. Is there any hope of recovering from this? How can I start being a better wife? Walking on eggshells. Same here. Anything could make her blow up, so I ended up focused almost entirely on avoiding that. Not healthy. Being divorced is so much less stressful. It's so much easier to watch the kids, do the chores, enjoy things, when I'm not constantly worried about what will set her off next. My ex-wife often said, "What did you say?" without me having said anything. You were thinking things, weren't you? Lol. Plot twist. He's one of those who don't have an internal dialogue. Her trash talking things that are important to him. Constant eye rolling. My ex did this. I didn't even know it was a thing people actually did until she started, and then did it constantly when I spoke. Really built up a hatred towards her quickly. Mine did this constantly too. I could never just be myself around her. So weird when you start to hide parts of yourself to the one person that should accept you. She doesn't try. Guys like to be romanced too. Just had something casual completely broken off because a girl I was seeing was blindsided, her words, by me asking her to put in literally any effort. She thought we just happened to see each other and spend every second together when we found ourselves in the same city. Well, it turns out we only happen to be in the same city when I plan and pay for everything. When any private info she learns about him becomes public. Excellent way to trust. I remember my ex fell asleep with her phone in her hand charging, and it was open. Wrongly I took a look at the screen before closing it, but there was a big message berating me for asking her a question about my hobby, and how she doesn't care, and how I never shut up about it. That was a different kind of hurt. The fact I was being spoken about behind my back was awful-leaded. I took the phone out of her hand as it was bedtime, and didn't see it as a safe option to leave it in her hand all night when charging. Just felt I should clear that up. Ouch. What did you do? I brought it up to her. Admitted I was wrong in the first place for looking at a message not intended for me, but also that I took issue with her berating me to her guy friend. Things went downhill, and as someone said, she became the ex soon after. It was sad. I was mad about her. Stress. I come home and celebrate that your car isn't in the parking lot/driveway. My last EF had me to the point where as I was driving home I'd be wondering what I was in trouble for. When I get home today, most days it wasn't even a hi or friendly greeting first. Some days it was nothing at all, and those days were a relief. But if she had anything to say, as soon as I got home it was nagging. How long did you sit in the car before heading in? Well, at the time it was like a 30 minutes ride to work. So I had a half hour to think about it and prepare myself. Was a strange situation because she was such a good big-hearted person to just about everyone except myself. Her daughter and her dad knew the girl, no one else seemed to. That's pretty common for abusers. They wear a mask of kindness to lure in victims. Then they slowly remove it and hope the victim feels trapped in the relationship. Suddenly getting mad at everything you say, not caring about your feelings, even when they say they're there for you. No effort whatsoever. But I want you to share your feelings. Proceeds to start fight with me after saying I feel unappreciated because you're too tired to go out all day on a day off after 3 hours of sleep and working 50 plus hours overnights. When there are more negative interactions and sentiments than positive ones, this reminds me of the Gottman couple's work. I've been married to my wife for a long time. She's amazing and I value her more than words can describe. The girlfriend I had before her, however, was emotionally detached. She would go through phases of being very loving, but one out of every few weeks, she would go into her shell like a turtle. The final straw for me was when she decided she wanted a break. We had been dating for 2 years, and all she did was tell me she wanted a break and didn't talk to me or respond to me for almost 6 months. I was devastated at first. Then I decided to move on and met the woman who is now my wife. Old girlfriend catches wind of this, starts trying to get back in contact with me, says she misses me, even was sending me nudes. She put her own happiness above ours as a couple and lost out on what I thought was a lifelong thing. I'm thankful it worked out that way because I never would have met my wife otherwise, but it was both humiliating and hurtful. Edit. I have no ill will for my ex. She's a good person deep down. It just wasn't meant to be. I actually saw her at a reunion, and we were nice to each other. She isn't the type, as I found out, that wanted to have a family, which is totally fine. And also why I'm glad things ended when they did. Because I did want a family eventually. We ended it at 22. She's a good person and I wish her nothing but the best. Another man stick. Yep. Even the suggestion they are interested in another man stick. Let's try an open relationship. Run. Been there. Did. The 4 horsemen of divorce: criticism, contempt, defensiveness, and stonewalling. Someone has read up on the Gottmans. Betrayal. I'm a loyal person and I expect the same. The second the trust is gone, it's gone for good. Being taken for granted, not appreciated. Same for both sexes. It's like a good chunk to they don't appreciate the guy they date until he offers something they don't have themselves. Not letting him take a nap once in a while. Lack of physical intimacy. Lack of compliments. Lack of affection. When you can tell that your position in their life is lowering by the month. In short, we can feel when a relationship is slipping. Maybe we don't have sex as often, and when it does, it seems like a chore to her. Her kisses have stopped being passionate and are quick and thoughtless, like 2 lips shaking hands. She doesn't say you look handsome anymore. Really, this is 2 people falling out of love, but nonetheless this is how we know. Backquote, her kisses have stopped being passionate and are quick and thoughtless, like 2 lips shaking hands is some poetic S-man. Incapacity to take responsibility for her own acts/feelings. This should be higher up on the list. Removing intimacy from the relationship. Ouch. Too close to home. Being neglected. Lots of things to describe the feeling honestly. Unappreciated. Unneeded. Taken for granted. Not even telling her works. I just get an apology, but no actions to show that she's actually sorry or that she cares. Always just waits till this week is done, but just tiptoes around the problem. Honestly feel sick when I have to bring up the same mess again, because she's clearly avoiding it. I honestly want to walk away already, but right now it's hard. Similar boat, except we're broken up now. I would constantly feel unheard, mostly because she would interrupt me when I was telling her something, or she would just say yeah to anything I said and immediately start talking about something she wanted to say without a moment of hesitation. I ended up just not saying much to her. She mostly just talked at me to the point where I'd maybe mutter 2 or 3 MMS over a 10-minute conversation. No matter how many times I would tell her what she was doing, it never stopped. It's not going to get better. No doubt it's a hard spot, but sometimes it's a matter of choosing the choice that will be super shitty now, but then get better over time, or the choice that will be just plain shitty forever. She is not good at communicating clearly when it comes to her needs and expectations, but expects you to figure it out. She makes assumptions about the relationship, but does not communicate them, and expects you to fall in line. She expects you to initiate everything, and sticks to outdated gender roles. Even if claiming to be progressive, she expects you to be mentally and physically strong at all times, because you're a man. Without room for compromise, she uses gender roles that make her life convenient. After some time, she makes you feel like you're unattractive, boring and even annoying. Basically not feeling valued anymore. You realize you're making all of the sacrifices and have been trying so hard to make things work. A relationship is equal. Gotta have self-respect. When he knows she doesn't value him. Merrill Haggard had a song called Carolyn that has the chorus. Yes, Carolyn, a man will do that sometimes on his own, and sometimes when he's lonely. I believe a man will do that sometimes out of spite. But Carolyn, a man will do that always. When he's treated bad at home, it's about a guy who leaves work one afternoon and never comes home. If the person you love becomes a different person than who you knew, that's your catalyst. When she becomes demanding, and it feels more like a chore to keep her from getting upset than a joy to be around her. Fortunately, this can be reversed. This is exactly my marriage right now. Best times in my life right now are when she's gone, and I get to just live my life with my kid. No drama, no worries about her getting upset. It just feels like a giant weight off my shoulders. Narcissism. Never admitting fault or saying sorry. Making fun of me for my personal interests. Having exceedingly high expectations. Making me feel worthless a lot of the time. Getting angry at the drop of a hat. Or taking out frustrations with other things on me. Oh god. So many things. So glad I left that S. Disrespecting your hobby. She called me immature because I like superheroes and action figures. When I was a child, I couldn't afford toys and promised my future self that I will buy a lot of them. Meanwhile, she literally worships things from Louis Vuitton or Gucci. Please tell me you've left her. Yes, she can keep the Gucci shoes that I bought for her and keep worshipping these designer items that make her feel classy or show status or whatever. I will continue to buy my Justice League figures and read comics. My hobby is my happiness, and if she denies it, then find your own way out of the door.